Hi, my name is Eileen. I'm going to talk about hair analysis and how it connects with disease trends and your biochemical individuality. And hair analysis is really able to measure the energetic influences in your body at the tissue level and how they're manifested in your body. And so because of that, we have to really talk about energy. Quantum physics is now telling us that everything on planet Earth is energy. We've got our spiritual being, we've got our emotions, the foods we eat, our intentions, our DNA, they're telling us is even light now in our cells. So imbalances in your energetic patterns, wherever they came from, results in disease that manifests in your actual physical body, in your tissues. And so hair analysis is showing the cellular effect of how you actually process your thoughts and your intentions and everything you drink into biochemical energy. See, the main purpose of your physical body is to translate the food that you eat into cellular energy. And basically that's primarily regulated by your adrenal gland. And you know, the adrenal gland and then the thyroid gland adapt to all these stresses in your body. When you're bit by a mosquito, your adrenal gland mounts a defensive response to adapt to that stress. So that's pretty minor. So there's a lot of stresses, emotional and otherwise. And that's considered the general adaptation syndrome that Hans Selye developed. And basically, if you stay in sustained stress, no matter what it is, you know, childhood trauma or work or whatever it is, your adrenal gland enlarges, your thymus atrophies, your lymphoid tissue atrophies, and your body creates gastric ulcers. So that's how your body, you know, responds to stress. And the adrenal glands secrete a hormone called aldosterone, which is responsible for the cellular level of sodium. Well, it's actually outside the cells. And basically, when you're under prolonged stress, you know, when you get angry, your body just secreted adrenaline and aldosterone, so your sodium rises. So when you're angry or you're running from the tiger, you have increased amount of sodium in your cells, and you're in prolonged stress, living your life like the tiger's chasing you all the time. Pretty soon, your potassium starts to rise with it because your car has a positive and negative on the battery, and your tissues in your cells are that way. They're the gatekeepers of everything electrical in your body. You have the sodium on the outside of the cell, the potassium on the inside of the cell. So when sodium is too high for too long, the body adapts. It uses up energy to raise your potassium to try to keep this homeostatic balance. Now, potassium is controlled in the body by your thyroid gland. So you have your adrenal and your thyroid gland overworking here. And that's in fast oxidation, so both glands are overworking. So basically that person, if they stay there too long, it's like driving a car in first gear going 200 miles an hour. They're getting horrible gas mileage. You're wearing out your engine really fast. These type of people are often aggressive, impulsive. They sweat a lot. They have oily hair and skin. They'll have a tendency to be nervous. They'll have frequent bowel movements, or in times of stress, they'll get diarrhea. They'll have high blood pressure, diabetes, and inflammatory reactions. Now, out of all the tests that we get done at the lab, 10 to 20% of people are in fast oxidation. So they're not the majority of the people. And when a child is born, normally they're in fast oxidation. You know, they have to put up with their parents giving them rules and all this kind of stuff. And so fast oxidation is actually a healthier state to be in. When you've stayed in fast oxidation too long and you blow up and die, I mean, there's people, contrary to that, will have a heart attack, you know, because the adrenaline's released, and then their blood vessels constrict, which causes more adrenaline to release, so it's like a dog chasing its tail. Those are the people that have the heart attack and die instantly. Now, when it goes on too long, the body's going to force itself, it's going to adapt again, use more energy up to slow you down. And how your body does that through the thyroid gland is it secretes a calcium shell. Because as calcium goes up, potassium goes down. And in fast oxidation, they're high. You have lots of sodium, so it's solvent, washing away all your minerals. So the body switches. It's a protective mechanism. As the calcium goes up, again, there's calcium-gated channels in your body to release neurotransmitters, so the body will try to keep that homeostatic balance, so it'll bring the magnesium up as well. So your thyroid gland and your adrenal gland begin to slow. Because the thyroid gland controls potassium and calcium in the body, and they just move in opposite directions. The adrenal gland does the sodium and the magnesium. They move in opposite directions. So basically a transition from fast to slow as we age and we become exhausted and our body can't keep that up anymore. So slow oxidizers are like someone driving their car in sixth gear trying to go 1 mile an hour. Their car keeps quitting all the time. They get horrible gas mileage and they're getting nowhere. And those type of people have a tendency to gain weight, have cold hands and feet, have poor digestion, they hardly perspire, they have dry skin and hair, they have allergies, fatigue, depressed, and have a tendency towards constipation. Now, hair analysis reports 20 levels of 21 minerals and toxins and 6 major ratios. And the ratios represent homeostatic balances in the body and correlate to a probability of certain kinds of diseases. Now, these ratios are the calcium-magnesium ratio is a blood sugar ratio. And when that starts rising, you go into hypoglycemia. If it keeps on rising, you'll eventually go into diabetes. Conversely, if it starts going lower, you go into dysinsulinism and then diabetes. And so then you've got the sodium-potassium ratio, which is considered the vitality ratio, or sometimes the life and death ratio, because the electrical potentials of the cells will not function when that is out of whack. And so that's the most serious thing that you can have wrong with you. And if it goes into high, you're going to have super inflammation. You're going to have arthritis and joint pain and allergies and all kinds of issues there. And then when it goes down low, you can have a tendency towards chronic infections that you can't seem to get rid of. You can have cancer, heart attacks, all kinds of things like that. So if we see someone with a chronically low sodium-potassium ratio, we can tell that, especially if they might be older in a 4 all-low mineral pattern, we can actually tell that they might die. And so it's something that's predictive, these ratios, and that we can manipulate them with meditation, diet, and rest, and then supplements to move. If you look at the back of my shirt, you move one mineral, all the others move.